Good morning everyone and welcome to the class. We are doing the chapter Cold War and the non-aligned movement, and we have completed the chapter, and yesterday we were doing the question answer and we have done up to question number 7, and today we will do question number 8. The question 8 is, what was India's foreign policy towards the US and USSR during the Cold War era? Do you think that this policy helped India's interest? So in this question, two parts are there. First of all, you have to say what was the India's foreign policy towards these two superpowers, and then how this foreign policy of India helped in serving the interest of the country. So our first part of the answer, we have to write that India responded in two ways. Whatever situation was prevailing after getting independence, the country India responded in two ways. The first response was that it wanted to stay away from the alliance. Two-way response by India. First is to stay away from alliances, military alliances. But what we find that the aim of India was not only to remain itself away from the military alliances, but it also wanted that the newly independent countries of Asia and Africa, which became independent, which started to become independent after the Second World War, these newly independent countries, they should also not follow the alliance system. Okay, so India wanted that newly independent countries should also not follow the alliance system. And because of this response, the second response, what we find that India became the leader to initiate this non-aligned movement. क्योंकि इंडिया का जो सोच था, the vision was not only for the country only, but for all the countries of the third world. It wanted that they must remain outside this alliance system. Okay, and India always wanted to soften the division of world into the two power blocks, because India was of the opinion that this division of world into two power blocks will be a very great threat for world peace and security. So India was of the opinion that this should not be happen, and that is why this option was presented by India, the option of being non-aligned. You don't need to you don't need to join either of the alliances. You have a third option also. Okay, and now we see that this non-alignment policy which was adopted by India, actually it served real interest of the country. And what was the real interest of the country? How it served the real interest of the country? We see that because of non-alignment, what happened, that India was free to take decisions regarding any international matter on its own, as it was not in any of the group, as it was not in any of the alliance system. So it was totally free to have its own opinion regarding any international इंसिडेंट और कुछ भी जो इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स में वॉट एवर इज़ हैपनिंग, उस पर इंडिया इस बात के लिए फ्री था कि वो अपने हिसाब से अपने नेशन के इंटरेस्ट को ध्यान में रखते हुए उस पर अपना वो स्टैंड बना सकता है. It was not necessary for a country like India which has adopted the non-alignment policy कि उसको जो सुपर पावर्स हैं उसके हिसाब से काम करना है. नहीं, it was totally free to follow its national interest in order to have its opinion on international political matters. So this is very important because it is serving one of the most important national interest of the real interest of the country. Not only this, we also find that because of this non-aligned nature, India was able to balance one superpower against the another. Many times it happened that India felt ignored or there was any kind of pressure from one of the superpowers. So in that situation, if there is pressure or if there is negligence from the side of one of the superpowers, so in that situation, India can tilt towards the other. And when India will tilt towards the other will give support. तो क्या हो गया? फायदा कंट्री का हो गया. दिस इज द रियल इंटरेस्ट है जो कि इंडिया का सर्व हो रहा था बिकॉज ऑफ नॉन अलाइंड मूवमेंट. ओके, सो दिस इज योर आंसर. In the first part, you have to write two response of India towards the situation which was prevailing when India became independent, and in the second part of the answer you will have to write 2 points that is given in the book only, how this non-aligned movement was there to promote the real interest of the country. Okay, and now the next question is, NAM was considered a third option by third world countries. How did this option benefit their growth during the peak of the Cold War? So we know that this non-aligned movement was a third option, isn't it? It presented a third option, especially before the countries of the third world. And what we find that these third world countries were facing the most important problem was the economic problem. All the countries, almost all the countries of the third world were facing this problem of economic backwardness, and the main issue before them was how to bring economic growth, how to reduce the people living below the poverty line. And we have seen that majority of the third world countries were categorized as least developed countries. So it was their need that they should not get involved in world politics. Instead of getting involved in the world politics, their main focus should be on their economic growth. तो ये जो focus था वो उनका ख़त्म हो जाता if they joined any of the alliance system. Then in that situation they have to be involved in international political matters, क्योंकि वो अलायंस सिस्टम के पार्ट होते, और तब जो इकोनॉमिक इश्यूज हैं वो उनका उस पर से फोकस ही हट जाता. सो बाय बिकमिंग a part of the non-aligned movement, what happened that their focus was now only on the economic development. Political matters were also there, but priority was given to the economic matter. Okay. Then in the next point we can see that economic development was not only required for the reduction in the number of the poor people, or in order to bring industrial development or agricultural advancement. What we see that economic development is very much vital for the independence of the new countries, because in the absence of economic development, a country will have to take loans from the developed countries. It will remain dependent on the developed and rich countries. So in that situation, what will happen that their freedom will be obstructed. अगर हम कहीं से भी इकोनॉमिक एड लेते हैं तो दैट इकोनॉमिक एड वी गेट एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ आवर फ्रीडम. एक इंडिविजुअल के लेवल पे भी अगर हम सोचें तो यही होता है. तो इन ऑर्डर टू बी फ्री in true sense of the term, it was very much required that these countries must have rapid economic growth, so that they should not be dependent on the economic aid of the developed countries. So this is what we find that was important, and that is why this non-aligned movement was there to fulfill the interest of the third world countries. Moreover, we see that the UNCTAD has also presented a report in the year 1972 which demanded the establishment of new international economic order. So this platform of non-aligned movement was used by the developing countries or the third world countries to present their economic problems. It started working as economic pressure group. Though it was not successful in bringing this new international economic order, but it was important because this movement was very successful in advancing and promoting the interest of the third world countries during the Cold War era. So these are your points. Okay, and now there is another question. The question is, what do you think about the statement that NAM has become irrelevant today? Many times it is said that NAM has become irrelevant today. So you have to give some reasons to support your opinion. If you say that yes, NAM has become irrelevant today, then you will have to give some reasons to support your opinion. And if you say that no, this non-aligned movement has not become irrelevant, then also you will have to give some reasons to support your opinion. So in this regard, we must go for this answer that it is still relevant, though Cold War is not there. Our answer will start from this only कि Cold War खत्म हो चुका है, two superpowers are not there, the world has turned from bipolar to unipolar. Still we find that this non-aligned movement is relevant, though it lost some of its earlier relevance, but still it is relevant because of its core values. There are some core values of non-aligned movement. So first of all we will talk about irrelevance, कि क्यों ये क्वेश्चन क्यों आ रहा है कि ये irrelevant हो गया है. What is the reason of this statement? ये ऐसे statement क्यों दिए जा रहे हैं? तो our first point will be regarding the irrelevance of NAM. NAM क्यों irrelevant है? ऐसा क्यों कहा जा रहा है? And then we will see why is it relevant. हम लोग अभी भी इसको relevant मानते हैं, तो क्यों मानते हैं? उसके पीछे कुछ reasons हैं. The first reason is core values. And what is this core value? Core value is the unity among the third world countries. This movement came into existence only to bring unity among the third world countries. So the core value is unity among the third world countries. That was the purpose of the establishment of NAM. ये एक पर्पस तो था कि हमको किसी भी ग्रुप में नहीं जाना है, किसी भी अलायंस सिस्टम में नहीं हमको जाना है. बट क्यों नहीं जाना है? बिकॉज हमें अपना एक यूनिटी मेंटेन करके रखना है. तो दिस इज द कोर वैल्यू, एंड विदाउट दिस NAM इज नथिंग. तो NAM का जो कोर वैल्यू है वो तो अभी भी है, अभी भी देयर इज नीड ऑफ दिस यूनिटी. क्यों हमको हमारे बीच में यूनिटी है और क्यों यूनिटी की नीड है? यूनिटी इसलिए है क्योंकि वी ऑल were in the almost same situation. All the countries of the third world were the colonial under the colonial rule of developed countries. All these third world countries faced exploitation in all spheres of life, and now we are independent, and now we have so many aspirations from the future. So in this regard we are one, and we need to be one so that we can be able to achieve the aim of economic growth and development. Okay, तो this is the core value जो कि अभी भी हमारे लिए उतना ही important है जितना important ये 1950s में हुआ करता था. And then we can write the another point that there is end of bipolarism. The world is not bipolar but unipolar. एक सुपर पावर तो अभी भी है ना? One super power is there still. तो अब क्या जरूरत है? What we need? We need कि we have to maintain our own foreign policy. In the absence of NAM, we may have to be the follower of the US policy. तो हमें follower नहीं बनना है किसी का. We want to remain independent, and that is why this second point is important in order to pursue independent foreign policy. This is the relevance. Okay, and the third point. What is the third point? Third point is that the non-aligned movement is based on making the system democratic. As we have seen, there was demand of a new international economic order. There was UNCTAD, which in its report, this new international economic order was demanded. So this new international economic order is very much required if we want that these third world countries should achieve the economic growth, should achieve the level of economic growth. So in order to achieve that, it is very much required that this new international economic order must be established. And in order to establish this new international economic order, we need a group of third world countries, and that is non-aligned movement. So we can say these are the relevance of the non-aligned movement. So this is all your NCERT question. Other than there are many other questions which we can extract from middle of the chapter. So I am writing down some questions. Question 1. Write the military feature of Cold War. So what is the military feature of the Cold War? The military feature of the Cold War is logic of deterrence was working, and because of this logic of deterrence, what happened that the superpowers, they made a huge stock of arms, which caused arms race. So the first military feature is logic of deterrence, and this logic of deterrence caused arms race. And the second military feature we can say is the rational and responsible behavior of the superpowers. Those superpowers were superpowers. They were having all kind of weapons in their arsenal, but they always behaved in a responsible and rational manner, because they knew that because they wanted to avoid Third World War. And in order to avoid direct war or Third World War, it was very much required that both the countries, both the superpowers should behave in a rational and responsible manner, because if they behave in a irrational or irresponsible manner, that can cause unimaginable loss to humanity. So these two are the basic features of military features of Cold War. Okay, and you can also add in this military feature the alliance system, Western Alliance and Eastern Alliance, which was working, and what was the system of this alliance की अगर एक पे अटैक हो रहा है तो that attack will be considered as the attack on all the members of the alliance. So that can also be included in this military feature. Logic of deterrence first, then the second is responsible and rational behavior by the superpowers, and the third is alliance system. And now there is second question, another question is there, that is justify Cold War. What is the justification of Cold War? How can we justify the Cold War? We can justify the Cold War on this ground that Cold War was a situation of rivalry, a situation of conflict and contradiction. A war-like situation was there, but war was not there. And if war was not there, then what we find that the harmful effect of war, that is loss of life, loss of property, was also not there. Though shooting wars were happening, like in Korea, Vietnam, Hungary, in all these different places, war were happening, but these wars were at a very low scale, small scale. And we know that these superpowers were full of nuclear weapons. तो इन दैट सिचुएशन जो सिचुएशन प्रिवेल कर रही थी कि जिस तरह से सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर में अमेरिका ने न्यूक्लियर वेपन को यूज़ किया, तो अब इस बात से नो वन कैन डिसअग्री दैट इफ these superpowers engaged in war, direct war, then in that situation nuclear weapon must be used. And if this nuclear weapon is used, then the loss will be unimaginable. तो उस सिचुएशन से हमें कोल्ड वॉर ने बचा लिया. Because of Cold War, there is no hot war. Because of Cold War, so many lives and property have been saved. This is the justification of Cold War. इसी वजह से हम कहेंगे कि कोल्ड वॉर का होना अच्छा था. थर्ड वर्ल्ड वॉर ना हो, उससे तो बेटर है कोल्ड वॉर होना, है ना. तो इसमें आपका आंसर में जो फर्स्ट पॉइंट होगा दैट विल बी द how the second world war ended, and the way it ended, it paved the way for the use of nuclear weapon in future war. So there was very much need to stop this war to happen. There was very much requirement to avoid the war. So in this way Cold War started, in which war-like situation is there, but the harmful effect of war is not there. That is the most important thing. That is the justification of Cold War. Now the question is, why was NATO also known as Western Alliance? Why it is also called Western Alliance? Because most of the all the countries of NATO belong to the Western Europe, है ना. तो इसलिए इसको Western Alliance का नाम दिया गया है. Okay. And now the next question is, it's a statement, okay, and it's you will have to explain the statement. The question is, non-aligned movement was, or I will write NAM. NAM was not a noble international NAM was not a noble international cause which had little to do with India's real interest. In answer to this question, you will have to write what were the real interest of India in order to what were the real interest of India that were served by adopting this non-aligned movement. So the real interest is the same as I discussed in the starting of the class, that the country was totally free to take decisions on its own. No one, it was not bound by any of the superpowers. And the next is that it was in a situation to balance both the superpowers. If any of the superpower is bullying or pressurizing the country, then it can tilt towards the another superpower. So these are the real interests, though it seemed that it was a noble international cause, but it was the purpose of NAM was to bring world peace and security. The purpose of NAM was to soften the Cold War, to end this military system, alliance system, but actually it was there to promote the real interest of our country. Okay, so this is all for today, and now in the next class we will start a new chapter.